mulai aja ya. Sambil menunggu yang lain. Baik. Supaya nanti pada saat sesi tanya jawab banyak yang bisa ditanyakan kalau kita punya banyak waktu, karena waktu kita terbatas hanya sampai 1,5 jam. Kalaupun nanti agak diperpanjang ya paling juga bisa sampai 10 menit perpanjangannya. So while waiting for the others, let me open this activity, our online workshop for thesis writing. Biasanya Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh untuk semua. Selamat pagi, good morning Bapak Ibu yang sudah berpartisipasi, sudah 35 orang yang tercatat di sini. Semoga semuanya sehat ya hari ini, tidak ada kurang dari satu apapun. So today is the third session ya our workshop, and you already see that our presenter today is Ibu Dr. Maria Theodora Ping, well known as Ibu Lola. I think you are not unfamiliar with her if you are studying or you have studied at the English department. For today, she will deliver a topic on research methodology, and I believe that this part is the most important parts of the research. Without this, your research will not be conducted. Yeah. So before the presentation begins, we will inform you that when the presenter is delivering her materials, please mute your speakers. And again, when you have questions, just like what we did in the previous sessions, when you have questions, you may write it or write them in the chat box, and they will be answered later after the presentation is finished. So you may ask everything about research methodology, whether it is quantitative or qualitative or mixed. Bu Lola is an expert for this topic. Okay, so there is also one participant is going to record this presentation as a part of her data. So Bu Lola has already given permission to her, so no problem. And if some of you are the other one also want also to record this presentation, you just notify me, and then I will set to give you permission to record. So without permission, you will not be able to record this presentation. Well, I will be your moderator today, and then I think I do not need to introduce Bu Lola, yeah, because you are very familiar with her. So without further ado, let us listen to her presentation on the topic of methodology, research methodology. Okay, time is yours, Bu Lola.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Arida, for first of all for inviting me to join in this workshop series conducted by the Master of English Education Study Program. It's such an honor for me as well. And then I would like to greet everyone here who are attending our online session. I hope you have a very good morning. So as Bu Arida has mentioned before, the topic for my presentation today, for the workshop today, is research methodology. Well, of course, the main point of the workshop series is on thesis writing, but I would not provide topics which are very much on the writing yet. So today's discussion will be mainly on the methodology, the basic concepts. I do believe that some of the concepts later that I would like to discuss are actually familiar to you. So I believe that some of the topics have been learned before. Yeah. So if you have some confusion or some questions, just like what Bu Arida has mentioned before, feel free to type in your questions and we will discuss further later. Yeah, we will confirm and clarify some of the probably general confusion that you have regarding the topic of research methodology. Yeah, so I will not focus on the writing yet, the thesis writing yet. I will focus more on the concepts, but of course there will be some discussion on how you might want to write your methodology chapter later for your thesis. Yeah. Okay. So let me start with showing the topics that we are going to discuss today. I will start by discussing the research paradigm. Now, this is very important. The very first step, the very first aspect that we have to understand or we have to know before we conduct what we call as a research. Yeah, without sufficient or without adequate knowledge on research paradigm, we will end up in confusion all the time. Yeah, so I would like to make sure that before you jump into the field to conduct your research, you understand first what research paradigm is and what aspects are there in research paradigm and what importance research paradigm holds for our own research. Yeah, and then I would like to discuss about research design. I do believe that you are familiar with the points that are written there: quantitative research, qualitative research, and mixed method. And then there are some important terms that we need to know regarding research methodology, namely variable, phenomenon, case, and hypothesis, population, sample, and sampling techniques, and then data collection technique and instrumentation, and data analysis technique. Okay, if you take a look at these points, actually they are also the sections that you need to write on your methodology chapter. Yeah, so if you are talking about methodology chapter, writing your chapter 3 in your thesis, these are the points that you should include actually. Yeah, these are the points that you first have to understand, and then later on when you start writing your proposal, you have to include all these, yeah, depending on which methodology you are going to use. All right, so let me start with the first one, research paradigm. What is the research paradigm? Research paradigm is the set of common beliefs and agreements shared between scientists, or we can also say researchers, about how problems should be understood and addressed. Okay, so why do I choose to discuss this particular term in the first place? Why didn't I just jump in directly to discuss qualitative research, quantitative research, mixed method? Okay, this particular concept has to be discussed first before we choose which one of those three that I have mentioned previously, quantitative research, qualitative research, or mixed method, to be implemented in our own research. Yeah. So we have to understand this first in order to be able to choose later which of the research methodologies, which of the research approaches that we would like to use. Yeah. By knowing a research paradigm, we know what the problems are, what research problems we would like to address, that we would like to research on. And then later on, we will be able to decide which methodology will be suitable to address such problems. All right. When talking about research paradigm, we are talking about at least these three important concepts. The first one is the concept of ontology. Ontology refers to reality or the nature of the truth. And then epistemology, this is concerning how we know something. And then lastly, it concerns methodology. How do we find it out? Okay, so when thinking about doing a research, first of all, we have to think about, okay, what is going on? What is happening? What kind of problems we are dealing with? And then how do we know that there is this kind of problem happening, that there is this particular phenomenon going on that we should do a research on? And then how do we find it out? How do we find this problem out? Okay, so these three important concepts build our research paradigm. First, about the nature of the reality, the nature of the so-called truth, which is ontology, our ontology. And then how do we know that there is such a problem, there is such realities? That's epistemology. And then how do we find it out? That's the methodology. Yeah, so our big theme for today is methodology. It means that we are actually talking about how do we find things out. So that's the methodology. Yeah. Okay. So here is a very nice flow diagram or flow chart when we are talking about research paradigm. Yeah. So we have mentioned previously, I have mentioned previously about ontology and epistemology and methodology. In between epistemology and methodology, there is what we call theoretical perspective. Okay, in the previous workshop, I believe that you have talked about literature review, right? Literature review is also the place where you are discussing the theoretical perspective, yeah? Okay, so when we are talking about research, of course, we cannot separate it from theories as well, yeah? Okay, so there are two more aspects here, and these two more aspects are rather technical as well. So in addition to methodology, we have what we call methods. Yeah. Later on, we will discuss the difference between methodology and methods, because I know that there is a confusion around about these two terms, whether they are actually similar, whether they are actually the same, or whether they are different. And when you are going to write your thesis later, do you use the word methodology, or do you use the word methods, or maybe both of them? Which one? Okay, so we're going to clarify that later. And then afterwards, there's also an aspect called sources. Okay, so these are the important concepts that build our research paradigm. Yeah. So knowing all of these concepts will equip us with a more holistic understanding of how knowledge is viewed and how we can build up our standpoint in relation to this knowledge, as well as the methodological strategies we use to discover it. So all of these will help us to understand or to see the problems that we are going to further investigate in our research, and also how, as a researcher, we can build our standpoint on the problem to be investigated or on the problem to be researched further. Yeah. So doing a research doesn't mean that you only replicate or imitate the studies that have been done before. It doesn't mean that you only follow textbook theories per se, but as a researcher, you always have to have your own standpoint. And without understanding the research paradigm, it will be very difficult to build up your own standpoint. Yeah. All right. So just like what I said before, research method and research methodology, they are actually different. They're actually different. Yeah. Research method is, I think some of you might already be able to guess by now, that research method is a part of methodology. Yeah. Methodology, if we go back to this nice figure, methodology is the procedure, prosedurnya. Yeah, so the methodology is the procedure, the umbrella, the whole thing. And then methods is more methods are more specific. Methods are the tools inside the methodology. Yeah. So if your chapter in your thesis talk about the whole thing, the whole procedure, then you should call it the methodology part. Yeah. But if your chapter is only talking specifically about tools that you used to collect the data, to analyze the data in your research, then you are talking about methods. Yeah. So these two, methodology and methods, do not confuse them because they are different things. Methodology is the procedure, method is the tool. Yeah. And method is a part of methodology. All right. So I hope that clears up any confusions that are still around concerning these two terms. Yeah. Whether you have to use the word methodology or whether you have to use the word method, because method and methodology are actually different. Okay. Yeah. I will share this PowerPoint later. I'm going to send this to Prodi, so you can also take a look at this nice comparison table on your own later. Yeah. Okay, talking further about research paradigm, there are a number of research paradigms, but I will mention three. Yeah, three most prominent research paradigms. The first one is positivist. Okay, positivist is related to quantitative research or quantitative methods. When you have a positivist research paradigm, you take a look at a single reality which can be measured and known. What does it mean by a single reality? A single reality means there is one truth, one single piece of reality that we all share. No matter whether it is for me or it is for you or someone else, it is the same thing. Maksudnya seperti apa kok single reality? Sama. Okay, I give you a very easy example on this. Okay, when you take a look at the such a thing as number, angka. Number is a single reality. For example, when I ask a question about how many people attending this workshop today. Okay, can anyone answer me? You can unmute yourself. How many people are attending our workshop today? Can anyone answer me?
Around 40.
42. There are 42.
42? How do you know?
42.
How do you know?
We got the data from
The information
the
Yeah, where did you get the information?
from the bottom of the application.
Please.
Okay, because we are in the same platform, right? You are now in the Zoom room, which is the same Zoom room as as the one that I am in, and we have a number there, and the number is similar. If we are looking at it at the same time, it might be different in the next hour. Maybe some of the attendants or some of the audience quit or get kicked out of the room, but still, we are going to see the same thing. This is what we call the single reality. There are 42 people in the Zoom room at the moment. When I look at it, it's 42. When you look at it, it's 42 as well. Yeah, so that's a single reality that can be measured and known. So that's quantitative positivist paradigm, that we share the same single reality. So that's why something like effectiveness, relationship, correlation, those things, they belong to the positivist paradigm. Yeah. Okay. There's another paradigm called constructivist. Constructivist is rather qualitative. Okay, or it is qualitative. Yeah. With constructivist is it's the contrary of positivist. When positivist says that there is just one single reality, what is true for you is also true for me, that's positivist. But constructivists say, well, wait a minute, there can't be just a single reality. There will be, or there might be, multiple realities. And therefore, these multiple realities need to be interpreted. Okay, what does it mean by multiple realities? Multiple realities is something like feelings. Okay, so we know that there are 42 people attending this Zoom presentation. That's a single reality that we all share. Yeah, but there's another type of reality that we might not share, such as feelings. I might be feeling okay at the moment while I'm speaking to all of you. I'm fine. So this is the topic that I have been talking for years and blah, blah, blah. I'm quite excited and things like that. But some of you might not feel the same. Some of you might feel, oh, very tired, or bored, or oh yeah, equally excited because I would like to learn and things like that. Those are the realities. And each one of us in this group of 42 might have a different one. Okay, so therefore, it is ridiculous to try to force a single reality on this particular type of paradigm. Yeah, okay. And then there's the next one, which is pragmatist. Okay, pragmatist is somewhat mediating the positivist and constructivist. Yeah, because these two are like each one of the pole. Positivist is like, yes, single reality. Constructivist, no single reality. Pragmatist is somewhere in between. It's like, it might be a single reality. It's a fact that it can be a single reality, and it's also a fact that it can be multiple realities. Yeah, okay. In relation to research methodology, pragmatist will belong to the mixed method. Okay, so you have 3 paradigms that you should keep in mind. Positivist. Positivist is when you look at a thing as a single reality, one truth, one type of truth that we all share together. Yeah, that's positivist. And when you have such a paradigm, the most suitable methodology will be quantitative. Yeah. And then there's also constructivist. When there is no single reality or truth, there are multiple realities to be interpreted further. That's qualitative. And then something in between that will look at this whole debate on reality with a more pragmatist attitude. So that's mixed method. Yeah. Okay. Mixed method will mix or combine these 2 types of paradigms as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. By the way, by combining or by mixing paradigms, it doesn't mean that we create something new. No. It means that we use the paradigm together based on the suitability. Yeah. Which one is appropriate to solve which kind of problem. All right. So that's about research paradigm. So before you jump into start your research, you have to have the knowledge or the understanding on these 3 paradigms. Yeah. And going back again on these aspects, okay, you have to understand what is reality first, so you can decide whether it is a single reality for all of us, or whether it is a multiple reality, or whether you have to combine a single reality and multiple reality. And then epistemology, how do you know about it? And later on, the methodology, how do you find out? Yeah, okay. So by knowing this very important concept of research paradigm, you will have less confusion on which type of research you should do. Yeah. Okay. So choosing the type of research that you should do is not a matter of time. It's not a matter of the level of difficulty. Which one is easier, I will do that. Or which one is more difficult, I would like to do that. Or which one can be finished or can be completed in a relatively short time, I will do that. Or I would like to do a very long time research. No. But one thing that should be our consideration in choosing any kinds of research that we would like to do will be this one, research paradigm. Yeah. First, identifying the problem, the ontology, and then how we can look at the nature of the problem, whether it is belonging to the positivist kind of paradigm or constructivist or maybe pragmatist. Then you can decide, okay, I should do a quantitative research, or I should do a qualitative research, or oh, I should do both. Okay, yeah. All right. If you have questions about this, you can write down your question on the chat room, and then later we will discuss that further. Yeah. Okay. So research design. After knowing the paradigms, you know that there are 3 big types of big designs of research. The first one is quantitative, the positivist, and then the second one is the qualitative methods, the constructivist, and then the mixed method, the pragmatist. Yeah. Okay. They have different characters. they serve different purposes or objectives, and they employ different procedures as well. Yeah, because you know that they have different paradigms, so that's why they have different procedures as well. Yeah, okay, and different types of data. With quantitative, you will work mainly with numbers. With qualitative, you will work mainly with words or pictures or images, sometimes a little bit of numbers, but not the main thing as quantitative. Mixed method means that you have to deal with all those. Yeah, you have to deal with quantitative and qualitative. All right. This is the research design for mixed method. So just for your information, you can read later. Yeah, I will not go further into this. Okay, there's another interesting research design which doesn't seem to belong to those three big types that I have mentioned before, right? But you have heard about this. Maybe you have read about this. There is a design called classroom action research. Where does it belong? Where does it belong? Okay. Is it quantitative? Is it qualitative? Is it mixed method? Or is it something else? Anyone wants to try? Is it quantitative? Is it qualitative? Is it mixed method? Or is it totally something else? Anyone wants to try? You can unmute yourself.
Ada yang mau ngomong? Silahkan. Kualitatif atau kuantitatif?
Atau mix,
Halo?
atau something
Atau
else.
mix, atau yang lain. Silahkan diberikan pendapatnya. Bisa unmute speakernya? Belum ada?
Nggak ada? Kalau menurut Bu Arida?
Menurut saya bisa mix ya. Karena di dalamnya ada gambar, ada number, dan juga ada narasinya. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, so in Bu Arida's opinion, car is actually a mixed method. Well, I tend to agree because when we do classroom action research, our data in the forms of number, so quantitative, and also in the forms of narratives or narration or description, which belong to qualitative. Yeah. So what makes car different from the classic mixed method is that when we do car, we have a very real problem in the classroom that we would like to solve. Yeah. Mixed method, the classic mixed method, it doesn't have to be the urgent real problem in that particular classroom to be solved. Yeah, so you can basically choose your population and sample a little bit more freely for the classic mixed method. But for classroom action research, it has to be specific. But talking about paradigms, talking about the methodology, yes, classroom action research belongs to the pragmatist, the mixed method design. Yeah. Okay. If you take a look at the procedure, classroom action research has a very specific procedure called cycle. Yeah. This is also one of the things that make it special, that make it different from the classic mixed method. Yeah. But in general, when talking about the paradigm, it shares the same paradigm as mixed method. Yeah, the difference is on the methodology. It's on the procedure, and later on also on the methods. Yeah. Okay, so that's about car. So if you are still confused why I not really put car into the same table as the classic 3, it's because it's relatively new, and when talking about paradigm, car belongs to the pragmatist mixed method paradigm. Yeah, but later on, when talking further about methodology or the procedure, how to do it, car has some different features that we also need to consider. Yeah, and the objective or the purpose is very specific. When we do action research, when we do classroom action research, to be more particular, we really have a specific objective of solving problems. Yeah, the classic mixed method doesn't really have this strong notion of solving the problems in a real way, but car is rather more practical. Yeah, okay, so that's about car. So you already know that there are 4 different designs. Yeah, the classic quantitative, the classic qualitative, the classic mixed method, and then we have an addition called classroom action research. Yeah, but classroom action research shares the same paradigm as mixed method. They're both pragmatist. Yeah. Okay. Important terms that you need to know regarding methodology. Okay. These important terms are also important later when you start writing your methodology chapter, when you start writing your thesis. Now you have to know them first. The first term is what we call variable. Variable can be quantitative variable, can be qualitative variable, but regarding the paradigm, when we use the word variable, most likely it is for quantitative. Yeah, variable can be defined as properties or characteristics of some event, object, or person that can take on different values or amounts. That's why it is called variables, because it is varied, different. Yeah. Okay. Just like what I told you before, when we use the term variable, it's most likely for quantitative research. So that's why later on you will also deal with some categories or some concepts as independent variable, dependent variable, extraneous variable, etc. Yeah. For the graduate program untuk S2, if I'm not mistaken, if you decide to conduct a quantitative research, you have to have at least 3 variables. Yeah. Back then, when you were in your bachelor study, S1, most likely you deal with 2 variables, but for S2, 3 variables, yeah, at least. And if you decide to continue into doctoral levels, you might work with more than 3 variables as well, yeah. Okay, and then phenomenon or phenomena. Phenomenon is the singular word. Phenomena is the plural one. Is used for qualitative research that refers to the concept being studied. So when you opinions, attitudes, and so on and so forth, phenomenon. Yeah. Case. Okay. Case or case study for qualitative refers to a person or an entity such as a school, university, classroom, a program, or even a country. Okay, so if you are thinking about doing a case study for qualitative research, then you have to understand first what a case means. Yeah, and then hypothesis. Okay, this is very much important if you would like to do quantitative research or, of course, mixed method with quantitative. Yeah. Hypothesis is a specific, clear, predictive statement. So hypothesis is a prediction about the possible outcome of the research based on a particular property of a population, such as presumed differences between groups or a particular variable or relationships between variables. Yeah, there are what we call nil hypothesis, no, and alternative hypothesis or our research hypothesis. Yeah, if you decide later to use quantitative research, then you might want to understand this particular concept better. Yeah. Okay. So variable, phenomenon, case, hypothesis. If you formulate your hypothesis, that means that you have to test your hypothesis, and normally you will also include this in your chapter 3, in your methodology chapter when you are writing your thesis. Yeah. Okay. And then we go to some technical terms as well that you need to clarify in your methodology chapter when you are writing your thesis. That's what we call population and sample. These two terms are rather more quantitative. Yeah. When you talk about population, you talk about the whole group of interest of your research. And then sample is the representative of that particular interest group. Yeah. And then for qualitative, you might see something like subject or participant, or it can be specific depending on which method you are using. It can be called as respondents when you have questionnaire as your, or survey as your method, and then interviewees if you have an interview as your method, for example. So these terms are used mostly in qualitative. Yeah. Okay, and then the sampling techniques, very important both in quantitative and in qualitative. Yeah. There are two big types of sampling techniques. The first one is what we call random sampling. Random sampling is used for quantitative research because you would like to get a representative sample. So a representative sample can be obtained in a less biased way by using random sampling. And then the non-random sampling. Non-random sampling might include what we call purposive sampling. Purposive sampling is for qualitative research, and convenience sampling. Yeah. All right. So to make it easier, think about it. Think about it as this way. When you do quali, it's not really random. Quali is with purpose. So you go for purposive sampling. When you do quanti is about general thing. You would like to generalize. So random is more suitable. Yeah. Unless it is not really possible to do so. Okay. And then instrumentation. Instrumentation is the whole procedure of obtaining or collecting or gathering our data by using some instruments, by using some methods, by using some tools. Yeah. So instrumentation here will include how you construct your instruments, how you choose your instruments, how you construct your instruments. And instrumentation highly depends on which type of research you are doing, of course. Yeah. Sampling size. Okay, sampling size is especially important for quantitative research and mixed method, which uses quantitative part, but it is not really a big deal for qualitative. Qualitative is not about size, but it's about the quality or the characteristics of the sample or the participants or the subjects. Yeah. And then data distribution, this is quite technical, a little bit statistical. That's for quantitative. Yeah. Because you would like to make sure that you do not choose a biased sample. That's one thing for sure. Yeah. And then bias. Bias is also for quantitative. Yeah. Okay. So there are some concepts and elements that and regarding methodology, these are the concepts, yeah? Variable, phenomenon, case, hypothesis, population and sample and sampling technique, instrumentation, and then specifically regarding sampling, you would like to talk as well about sampling size and distribution and bias, especially for quantitative, yeah? For qualitative, you will focus mostly on the characteristics and the purpose, whether the characteristics that you have set follow particular purposes or objectives or what do we call it, the aims of the research itself. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, instrumentation and instrument. This is also one very important part of methodology part, and you need to elaborate this in your methodology chapter when you write your thesis. You have to talk about which instrument or instruments you are using, whether you construct or you develop your instrument yourself, whether you adopt the instruments. Adopt means you use the existing instruments per se. You use something which is already standardized, or whether you adapt previous existing instrument. Adapt means there will be changes or modifications when necessary. Yeah, and the changes might also include something like translation, whether you translate your instruments or not, okay, or whether you simplify the language of your instruments or not. All right, so self-constructed, adopted, or adapted, because that particular aspect will lead to the validity and reliability issues of your instruments and instrumentation. Yeah, when we talk about validity and reliability, although they seem quantitative, but for qualitative research, validity and reliability are also the issues. Yeah, even more so for qualitative actually, because when you use quantitative, validity and reliability can be somehow solved by using statistics or statistical procedure. But for qualitative instruments, validity and reliability are more complicated in a way. Yeah, that you really have to find ways which are rigorous. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you might want to mute your microphone. Ya, siapa yang belum nge-mute, tolong di-mute dulu ya. Alright. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Data analysis technique. This is also something that you should include in your methodology chapter. Yeah. But in the next workshop series, I guess you are going to talk further about this. In the methodology chapter, we will only provide some general description of the data analysis technique that we would like to use. Yeah, because this also belongs to the, if you still remember the flowchart that I have shown you before, the method part. Yeah, when you know what kind of data you are dealing with, you will also have to know how you are going to deal with that particular kind of data. Yeah. For quantitative research, you will have to use statistics and hypothesis testing. For qualitative research, you will have to use different types of qualitative data analysis, such as, for example, coding or content analysis, conversation analysis, discourse analysis, thematizing, flow model, or other types of QDA or qualitative data analysis, and also triangulation. Triangulation is basically cross-checking to ensure that your data analysis is done in a valid and reliable way. Yeah. Okay. So data analysis technique in your methodology part, the function is to provide information that you actually know what you are doing or what you are going to do. Yeah. And then later on, it has a specific chapter on its own, namely the findings and analysis. Yeah. The next one in the discussion later. Yeah. Okay. But you still need to include this into your methodology part. Okay. Yeah, here are a couple of useful references that you can use regarding to research and research methodology. I really like Creswell. So this is the book, this one. I think it's also available online. I'm not really sure, but I have the PDF file of this. So you might want to look them up if you don't have it yet. Yeah, there are really good examples and explanations on each type of research design. Yeah, quanti, quali, and mixed method as well. And also there are some chapters on writing. Yeah, so you know that in your methodology chapter later, for each design, what kind of concepts or what kind of sections or what kind of parts you need to write in your methodology chapter. Okay, and then another one is this book. This is also very useful. So Frankel Wallen, this is Frankel Wallen only, but the latest one included Helen Huynh. It's also a very good research book to look up to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. To sum up or to wrap up the presentation, if you take a look at this nice cartoon, this cartoon, okay, wait a minute. This cartoon describes the two methods, quantitative and qualitative methods, and the paradigm. Yeah, so you can see the difference in the paradigm. One is positivist, one is positivist. One is positivist, which, just like what I asked you before, the same single reality in the form of number. And then the other one is qualitative, the constructivist or multiple realities paradigm. Yeah. So each one might have his or her own reality that needs to be interpreted. Okay, and then, yeah, going back again to refresh your mind about methodology. When talking about methodology, we talk about ontology, how we view the work and the reality, whether it is a single reality, multiple reality, or both of them, pragmatics, and how we should investigate that particular reality, that's epistemology, and then how we can know or get to know in the terms of collecting data, the whole procedure, that's methodology, and then what kind of tool, very specific detail on how we can collect the data, that's methods. Yeah, so ontology, knowing the nature of the reality that we are going to look at, and then knowing how we should investigate it, and then how we can collect data to investigate it, and knowing which particular details or which particular instrument or tool to help us to collect the data. Yeah, so this is the research methodology tree with 4 important parts that we need to understand before we jump into the conclusion that, okay, I should use quantitative for my research, or I should use qualitative for my research, or I should use mixed method for my research. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and I would love to hear from you, and we can discuss further some of the concepts that I have already presented here. Thank you very much. Going to give the floor back to Bu Aridah, the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Lola, for a very great presentation today with the topic research methodology. I noted some questions from the participants written in the chat box, and I will show the question in the form of slide later. But before I show the question, I myself have question actually. May I ask question, Bu Lola?
Sure.
Yeah, this is a question that is frequently asked by my student under my supervision actually, and maybe Bu Lola can help me to decide which title of chapter they should put in their thesis writing, whether they put research method or research methodology. But if you are when we listen to your explanation just now, that a research methodology is a very broad umbrella for the research method. But still question. So which one actually is the more appropriate words, methodology or methods?
Okay. Yeah, this is also one thing that has been debated all the way by not only by students but also by a lot of experts, whether we have to use methodology or method. Well, for me, if the chapter talks broadly about the procedures, the whole procedures, including the thinking, the starting point of the ontology part, epistemology part. So why do we use this? Why do we use that? That should be methodology. But when it is very concise, very particular about the way, about the tool, about the specific way to collect the data, that's method. So that's why in a lot of journal articles, they prefer to use method because it's brief. So it's like straight to the point. So we use this kind of method, like it's an interview or it's an observational study, very brief. So that's method. But when we talk about everything, that's the procedure. So I think based on the explanation, the more appropriate term will be methodology. So that's why the title of this workshop is methodology, because we talk about everything. We do not talk only about specific thing like interview only or observation only, case study only, experiment only, but we talk about the whole thing. So that's methodology. So I guess how to properly use these terms will depend on what kind of information we would like to include in that particular chapter. If the chapter includes everything, then it should be methodology. That's the methodology part. But when it includes very specific, when it only includes very specific type of instrument or type of tool, then it can be method, I think.
Okay, thank you, Bu Lola. So everything is clear about it, even though there are still some debates about it. Well, we come to the questions. There are almost 10 questions that I could record it, but those who still want to ask question, you might still write your question. Who knows that we have time to answer the question. We come to the first one, yeah. From Soraya Salsabila, jika judul The Effect of This and Toward That and That dengan instrumen questionnaire teknik analisis, apakah yang tepat, Miss? Saya kurang paham dengan penelitian kuanti, walaupun sedang dalam proses membaca buku-buku Rankel dan kawan-kawannya. Silakan Bu Lola, ini bagaimana jawabannya The Effect of This and Toward That and That.
Okay, first of all, the use of the word effect is very quantitative. It's not really used in qualitative because that's not the paradigm. Yeah, but talking about the paradigm, okay, should I switch to bahasa Indonesia?
Ya, bahasa Indonesia tadi.
Oke, supaya lebih mudah dipahami ya.
Ya.
Oke, kalau kita bicara tentang efek ini paradigmanya tadi termasuk positivis ya, karena efek siapapun yang menelitinya dengan konteks yang sama, dengan prosedur yang sama, prosedur yang sesuai, itu hasilnya most likely akan sama. Gitu. Jadi ada single reality yang akan kita cari di sini. Ada efek atau tidak ada efek signifikan atau tidak ada efek signifikan. Hanya ya dan tidak ada something in between di situ. Ya, oke. So that's very much quantitative. Jadi kalau ada yang ingin melakukan studi kualitatif, tidak usah coba-coba dengan menggunakan kata efek karena that's not the paradigm. Bukan itu paradigmanya. Ya, oke. This is a little bit bothering to me as well. Kalau kita menggunakan studi tentang efek, ini eksperimen dan non-eksperimen causal comparative yang bisa kita gunakan sebenarnya. Ya, teknik analisis ini harusnya di minggu depan ya, kalau nggak salah di Prof. Susilo. Tapi paling tidak mungkin saya bicara sedikit aja tentang metodenya ya, tentang kalau bicara soal teknik analisis kita bicara spesifik tentang method. Dengan instrumen yang sudah spesifik di situ adalah kuesioner. Ya tergantung, sekarang saya nggak bisa kasih jawaban general, jawaban umum karena pemilihan teknik analisis itu akan bergantung dari berapa jumlah variabel yang dimiliki. Karena ini levelnya S2, tadi saya sudah sebutkan bahwa variabelnya paling tidak ada 3. Ya, 3 itu boleh 2 independen, 1 dependen, atau 1 independen, 2 dependen. Ya. Nah, itu aja udah berbeda. Kalau independennya yang 2, dependennya yang 1, statistiknya pakai apa? Dengan yang independennya 1, dependennya 2, ini statistiknya apa? Itu udah beda ya. Kemudian mau cari apa? Mau cari efek secara efek yang berkaitan dengan signifikan atau mau mencari prediksi dengan regresi misalnya. Nah, itu juga teknik analisisnya nanti akan berbeda. Kemudian kuesionernya ini skalanya seperti apa? Kemudian ada berapa section? Ada berapa nilai mean score atau median misalnya kalau pakai median yang akan digunakan. Kemudian apakah kuesionernya ini skalanya interval atau rasio, ataukah skalanya nominal, kategorisasi, atau rank, ordinal. Ini akan membutuhkan teknik analisis yang berbeda lagi. Gitu. Jadi teknik analisisnya kalau kuantitatif jelas pasti pakai statistik. Tapi statistik kan ada macam-macam jenisnya. Jadi nanti dia akan tergantung dari situ. Ya. Sehingga jawaban saya tidak bisa spesifik di sini karena saya tidak ada informasi spesifik juga di sini tentang berapa variabelnya, kemudian jenis variabelnya apa, berapa grupnya, terus apa lagi ya yang perlu dipertimbangkan dari situ. Oh ya, apakah distribusinya normal atau tidak? Jadi banyak sekali hal yang harus dipertimbangkan untuk bisa menjawab pertanyaan ini dengan tepat, dan hanya bisa dijawab ketika it's very particular already, ya. Oke. Kemudian kalau kurang paham dengan penelitian kuantitatif, sebenarnya yang harus dipahami dari penelitian kuantitatif itu satu, paradigmanya.
Sederhana,
Ya.
berpikir adalah kemampuan untuk selalu memperbanyak.
Oke.
Minta tolong ya, sudah dimatikan.
Oke, satu, paradigmanya. Paradigmanya adalah kita mencari satu single reality, ya atau tidak tadi, ada efek atau tidak, berkaitan atau tidak. Kemudian yang kedua, bahwa datanya nanti semua dalam bentuk angka. Datanya dalam bentuk angka. Sehingga pasti perlu pemrosesan secara statistik, ya. Kemudian sampelnya berapa jumlah sampelnya atau sampel size-nya, kemudian bagaimana cara pemilihan sampelnya, bagaimana distribusi dari sampelnya, ya. Jadi kalau bicara soal teknik analisis yang tepat, pasti jawabannya adalah pakai statistik. Cuma statistik yang mana ini belum bisa saya jawab karena tidak ada informasi spesifik di sana, ya. Oke, I hope that answers the question.
Iya, terima kasih Bu Lola. Besok tanyakan lagi pertanyaannya ini sama Pak Susilo ya, karena Pak Susilo akan memberikan secara spesifik tentang bagaimana melakukan analisa data, baik itu secara kuantitatif maupun kualitatif ya. Soraya Salsabila, thank you for your question. Nah, pertanyaan berikutnya adalah
Terima
dari
kasih.
Lianita. I would like to ask about how do exactly know how to register our research as qualitative or quantitative or a mixed method one. I mean especially on the mixed method, one to the others. Thank you in advance for the enlightenment.
Maksudnya apa? Saya agak kurang paham dengan kata register.
Menentukan mungkin ya, menentukan bahwa penelitian kita itu kualitatif atau kuantitatif atau mixed method.
Oke, ya seperti yang saya bilang tadi, cara pertama menentukannya adalah tadi paradigmanya itu dengan melihat nature dari permasalahan atau nature dari problem yang ada, apakah single reality berarti kuantitatif, ataukah multiple realities itu kualitatif, ataukah kedua-duanya. Mau cari yang single reality tadi ada efek atau tidak, ada hubungan atau tidak, ada influence atau tidak, dan bisa memprediksi satu variabel dengan menggunakan variabel yang lain, dan juga misalnya mau mengetahui alasan, feelings, attitudes, opinions, dan lain-lain yang melibatkan multiple realities, that's going to be mixed method, ya. Jadi satu, pertama kali dari paradigmanya. Dua adalah dari jenis datanya. Datanya apa? Dalam bentuk angka, dalam bentuk words, images, pictures, yang tadi non-numerical bukan numbers, ataukah dua-duanya. Dari situ baru kita bisa menentukan, okay, this one is qualitative, this one is quantitative, this one is mixed method. Nah, untuk mixed method, tadi di slide saya sudah tampilkan juga, nanti mungkin bisa dilihat sendiri. Ada beberapa jenis mixed method, ya. Karena mixed method ini kan juga tidak cuma satu, dia ada beberapa macam. Jadi yang mana yang mau dilakukan duluan, misalnya kuantitatifnya duluan kah, atau kualitatifnya duluan, apakah bagiannya porsinya sama besar, kuanti dan kuali sama pentingnya, ataukah kuantinya lebih besar, kemudian dijelaskan oleh kuali, ataukah kualinya lebih besar, kemudian diikuti, diverifikasi oleh kuanti, itu ada jenisnya masing-masing. Ya. Sebagai researcher, kita harus punya standpoint di situ, makanya penting sekali tadi mengenali paradigma sebelum kita melakukan penelitian. Ya, sehingga kebingungan yang seperti ini tuh nanti tidak akan terjadi setelah terjun mengambil data, karena kita udah tahu, oh oke, paradigmanya adalah seperti ini, sehingga jalan yang saya ambil adalah yang itu, ya. Oke.
The next one dari Ibu Renta Top. Is it okay to we do observation and interview only for qualitative research. So we use 3 instruments, observation, interview, dan apa satu lagi instrumennya. Oke, silakan Bu Lola.
Oke, lagi-lagi ini akan tergantung dari research questions-nya. Ya. Apakah perlu melakukan observasi dan interview, ataukah observasi saja, ataukah interview saja, ataukah perlu hal lain seperti misalnya document study, itu nanti akan bergantung dari research questions yang sudah kita formulasi. Research questions ini bergantung dari problems yang kita temukan di awal yang mau kita teliti ya tadi dari ontologinya tadi itu dari apa permasalahannya ada apa fenomena kalau kualitatif ya fenomena apa fenomena yang ada dan bagaimana cara saya bisa menemukan jawaban menemukan penjelasan dari fenomena ini apakah harus saya observasi ataukah harus saya tanyakan ataukah harus saya observasi dan saya tanyakan ataukah harus saya cari jawabannya di buku-buku, di dokumen-dokumen, di dokumentasi yang ada. Oke, dari situ baru kita bisa menentukan metode apa yang bisa kita gunakan untuk mengambil data. Kemudian 3 instrumen, nah saya tidak pernah membatasi langsung jumlah-jumlahnya tanpa mengetahui tujuannya apa, tanpa mengetahui research questions-nya apa gitu, karena jumlah instrumen yang akan kita gunakan ini akan bergantung dari research questions yang sudah kita buat ya. Tentu saja tujuan kita melakukan penelitian atau sebuah penelitian itu dikatakan penelitian yang selesai itu adalah ketika dia menjawab research questions-nya kan. Jadi meskipun kita sudah susah payah observasi, susah payah interview, susah payah menganalisis, tapi kalau dia nggak menjawab pertanyaan yang sudah kita formulasi
The different